stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name's Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy. Now, you guys remember last year, President Trump got into a little bit of trouble because he retweeted some videos from an organization called Britain First. And there was a lot of fallout about that. And you also know, if you listen to my programs, that I am associated with the English Defense League and that fine radio show and the people in that organization. My purpose for doing this show and for having the guests that I do right now is to clear up any misunderstandings about the organization that a lot of Americans are sending money to right now, the organization of Britain First. And I have with me Jan Rennie, who is my teammate on EDL Radio. I also have Graham and Shell. Everybody, welcome.
Hello.
And we're going to get to the truth right now. I'm going to let Jan lead off with the questions and things, and once in a while, just to keep Americans spun up on stuff that they might not get, I'll ask one. And let's get this done. Jan.
Good evening, everyone. And tonight our guests are Graham and Shell. Graham was in a relationship with Jada Franson of Britain First, the so-called patriotic movement in the UK. They are not a political movement whatsoever. That is just another falsehood of which they are renowned for within the right-wing movements across the United Kingdom. Neither are they a Christian movement, which they now propose to be. That concept was stolen from an American conservative who founded it back in 2009, just after the English Defence League was founded. The Christian Defence League I personally own now, that page and the name, and indeed I once threatened Golding with legal action when he produced the same on social network. However, the painted wooden crosses is their idea, perhaps. The purpose of this radio show is to expose the many false lies and confidence tricks they play on the general public. And when Mr. Trump mentioned them on Twitter, they have the United States targeted for financial gain. Or should I say they have United States patriotic movements in their crosshairs. Their objective is not to save my country or any other from the onslaught of Islam, but to line their pockets and bank accounts with as much money as possible. These three people, Golding, Franson, and their newest recruit to the leadership, Mr. Edge, they are not what they promote themselves to be, but scoundrels, cheats, and liars. They are also police informers. Graham and Shell, welcome to the show. Graham, would you like to give us a brief outline on how you got involved with perhaps Jada and Britain First?
Yeah, I'd been to a few demonstrations and met Jada, and it more or less started straight away. I got into a relationship with Jada, so automatically I was sort of into the inner circle, what they call. I got to find out a lot more than what most people would. And I think because it was a relationship, she was a lot more open with what was going on, which as time progressed, I got to know more and more, which was quite shocking. It was, if there was a social after a demonstration, then they would buy the whole bar. So everything's free, everybody just drinks. It's just a free-for-all, a mad one. Dancing on the bars, just anything went. It was...
they were using money from donations then?
Oh, yeah. This was... they've been down to my place and cocaine, everything. And this is all down... They don't have any other kind of... There's no other source of income. It's all Patriots money that's been donated. And they're putting it in lines and
snorting it up the noses.
Up the nose, yeah. Which just isn't right. The whole thing isn't right. When it's champagne and it's just blatant, it's a total misuse of money. Yeah. The whole thing's all about money. That's all it is. There's nothing else about it. Whatever they did, if it was a day of action, they would blow things out of proportion all the time. It was all about making something bigger, exaggerating it so that it would bring in more revenue. So they put the videos out. They just make it into something that it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Well, they actually steal videos, because I know certain patriots on social media who have made their own videos, and then we've seen them reproduced under the title of Britain First. It's kind of shocking when you think. I mean, we in the UK have seen how they splash money about, how they've never. Well, I don't know when they last had any employment, but they certainly are on the treacle stick, as I would call it, and probably getting a big pay. Have you any idea of what they allow each other financially per week?
I do know that. Go on.
Yeah, Jada gets paid more than Paul. I know that.
I was told that they pay themselves £28 an hour when they do a demonstration.
Wow.
Nice work if you can get it. Now, I'd like to ask a quick question, guys. Now, the donations that you're speaking of, these were first donations collected from people, not only for the organization, but also for British soldiers, for British veterans. I just want to be clear on that. That's number one. And that people is part of what these people operated off of. We're talking about stuff going back, guys, a couple of years. And Graham, please tell the people who Jada is. A lot of these names are being thrown around here, and Americans really don't know titles that go along with the names. So can you please tell us who Jada is?
Jada Franson, she's the deputy leader of Britain First. It's not a political party.
Right.
She's deputy leader.
Sure. Okay. Appreciate that.
Can I just jump in?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
With the donations that they collected for the poppies, that was a couple of years ago, the Royal British Legion actually owned the patent to the poppy in this country. So any money raised from people selling poppies lawfully should go to the Royal British Legion. I'm not sure of the exact amount that Paul collected when he was selling poppies, but it was quite a few £1,000s. And it got to the stage where the British Legion wanted to take them to court to get their money back. It was for these men, for the veterans. But they couldn't afford to take Britain First to court. So they kept the money. And it's disgusting. Yeah, it's disgusting.
And the British Legion, I would imagine that they wanted to not spend that money because that money could have gone to the veterans.
Yeah.
Other than a court case, so I understand that, yes.
And let's be clear, guys, again, but I do want Americans to completely understand what this stuff is all about, and some of them don't understand the significance of the poppy. Jan, do you want to field that one, just so people understand what the poppy is? Shell, you did a really good job on talking about how the Legion owns that over there, but people do need to understand the significance of the poppy and why folks would pay for a flower.
The poppy is a commemoration of Flanders Fields, the First World War, and it's celebrated, or should I say, I don't know whether celebrated is the right word there, but it's commemorated 11th of November every year. And we have people going out and collecting money in tins, and they buy poppies, they sell poppies, and all the money should be going to the veterans. But as we know, we have seen videos where Paul Golding and one of his guys was selling badges. We also sell badges to collect money for the veterans. What happened on that occasion was an elderly man who was an ex-soldier approached them and they packed the table up and legged it before the police came. And as Shell's just pointed out, they're still at it to collect for poppies, and people generously give, and for them to keep the money, I mean, that's embezzlement. Embezzlement. They should be in prison for it. Not just that, for a few other things too, which leads us on to, let's be a bit clearer. Paul Golding is allegedly the leader. He says he's the leader. Jada Franson is the deputy leader. And this newcomer, Andrew Edge, is ex-EDL and has joined...
He's ex a lot of things.
Yes, he is, Shell. He's been in quite a few things. He's quite a scoundrel. So that's the three people that's probably getting the most money. What they're doing with Edge, I do not know, because he's basically...
I do.
He's basically thick and very easily led and a con man in his own right, but not to the scale of what Britain First deputy leader and the leader are. But go ahead, Graham.
Yeah, I know exactly why he's there. What happened was, when this Rochdale demonstration took place, afterwards we had a social, and there was a Polish girl who did a speech at the demonstration, and she came back to the hotel, the Grange Bar Hotel, just outside Rochdale. And as the night went on, there was a sexual assault took place in her room on her by Paul Golding. Now, I witnessed it. It's quite an in-depth story, and witnessed Jada Franson covering this sexual assault up, she actually railroaded us. As we went into the Polish girl's room, she was crying on the bed, and Jada says, "What's happened?" She started to say what had happened. Jada was shouting at her. She was angry at first. She says, "I'm telling you that he's big, he's forceful, he's drunk, he's like that anyway." All of this. Then she sort of started to, I says, "You better shut your mouth." I says, "This isn't right." She started to calm down, but she was saying, "If this gets out, you're going to be solely responsible for the fall of Britain First. If the news of the police get this, that's us finished." And she says, "We're the only group that's doing anything on the right wing, and you will destroy the right wing by yourself." Then she offered her a platform to do her speeches. She says she'll do days of action with her, do videos with her, get her a name, build her up, this and that. It went on. She was absolutely railroaded. She says, all you have to do is come upstairs, back to the bar, and be seen with Golding, so everybody thinks that it's okay. Because it was Golding himself who made the announcement. He'd come up from his room after she was screaming and made the announcement in the bar that had said that he'd sexually assaulted her. Jada went and pushed him against the wall, says, "What the f*** you done, you cunt," and was going mad at him. The night went mental. So after that, there was backwards and forwards between me and Jada. There's text messages, a lot of text messages, which are being used in the court case. But in the meantime, Jada, she'd borrowed a car from me, so I wanted the car back. I dumped her over this whole matter. It was way out of hand. It was the things that they were doing to her. They paid for her to go to Belfast, so that Jada told me, right, we're going to get her to Belfast because the press will be there. They'll get pictures of the Polish girl with Paul Golding, and if she goes to the police in the future, her story won't hold, sort of thing. The whole thing was they're telling the Polish girl one thing, and Jada's telling me a different story. So
that's shocking. Absolutely shocking.
The Polish girl, she knew what. You see, I didn't know her at the time, but all that she knew was that Jada was supposed to be a friend. She was helping her, and they were going to build her this platform. When all that they were doing is making time. They were trying to create time between when the incident happened, and in case she went to the police, the further away it was, the better. But the ultimate thing was to get rid of her once they thought there was a long enough period of time. So there was a few things happened that I can't mention because it's going to be brought up in the case, but it came to a conclusion. I said to Jada, "You're dumped, that's it, I'm having nothing to do with it." I rang up, I said, "You better come over here, have a look at my phone, the text messages, and see what they're doing to you," which she did. So Jada had got my car, I dumped Jada, she got my car that she borrowed, and I asked Andy Edge to go over and get it for me. So he met Jada, and himself and Jada made this story up that I offered Andy Edge £10,000 to kill Paul Golding, and that I was armed. I walked around with a revolver tucked into my trousers, so which I've got all the paperwork for. They can't deny it. So I had the house surrounded with police with machine guns, got arrested. They searched the house for 2 days. There was absolutely nothing, and there was no case to answer. That was all just dropped. I wasn't charged or anything. It was just, they could see it was malicious. Once the story got out, it was because it was malicious. Now, because Andy Edge made the story up with Jada and took it to the police, then if they let go of Andy Edge, if they boot him out, he's going to start telling people, "Yeah, I did that for Jada, and look what she's done to me." Do you know what I mean?
Hence then the so-called medal in France when they took him on holiday and all over.
Yeah, they took him straight to Spain. As soon as he did that, they were straight off to Spain. From Spain, they came back, then they shot straight across all over Europe. They can't let go of him because they know that if they kick him out, the first thing he'll do is say, "I did this for Jada," because he's got the brains of a gnat.
Yeah.
"I did this, I made this story up for Jada, and now she's kicked me out. What? And he's going to start yawping off to everyone, and then Jada's in trouble. So,
yeah. And Jada Franson, people out there, Jada Franson stands on platforms and stages. They make videos of her screaming her head off about girls getting raped, what females go through, the cover-ups by the police, the cover-up by authorities, and she's doing the exact same thing to protect Golding, herself, and now, of course, edge. Shell, as another female, how do you feel? Do you not feel as disgusted as I do that she's allowed and tried to cover up a young girl being raped, and then to call her and plaster around the whole of the UK that this girl was a Polish left-winger? When we all know that she's extreme, you know, she's an extreme patriot. She loves her country.
Do you know what gets me? Do you know the worst of this is? Because the Polish girl, she actually went along with this, so it didn't harm the right wing. Because of what Jada said to her, she'd be responsible for the fall of the right wing. Then she actually went along with this for the sake of the right wing. Although I thought at the time she was stupid. I didn't know the girl. I just thought, stupid girl.
Yeah.
But she went along with it because her feelings for what she believed in were so strong, and she was all mixed up with what to do. But she went along with it, and she actually suffered this. She suffered this
so badly let down.
Yeah,
do you know that they make me?
And then they call her a lefty.
What they've done to a Polish nationalist, what they have done to that young girl, makes me embarrassed to be British because of the way they're treating that girl. Because I know on social media, I'm still seeing the attacks on that girl.
Yeah.
So
you see, my feelings towards Jada were pretty dark before I even knew Graham. However, for a woman to do that to another woman is it's beyond disgusting. So in the scheme of things, what Paul did was wrong, and he should answer for that. But in my head,
she's worse.
This all lays with Jada. She's worse, because if you could go back in time, if Jada had grabbed hold of and got Graham to go and grab hold of Paul and called the police and did the right thing there and then, this whole thing would be different.
Yeah, but
Jada would still be with Graham, would have had justice, Paul would be gone. But she did this.
No, Jada told me that Paul has done it to her loads of times.
Yeah.
He's raped her loads of times. She's hardened to it. Now, Jada can put up with it because she knows that Paul's the only one
fame and fortune. She wants fame and fortune. That's why she puts up to
it. Yeah, that's it.
Tantamount to prostitution.
It is, yeah. She'll put up with it because she knows that Paul's the only one who can pull the plug on Britain First. She can't do anything. Paul has all the say. He has all the passwords, everything. She hasn't got no say in anything, really. And if she doesn't do what Paul wants, that's the end of her income. She's unemployable. That's what she told me. She's unemployable anywhere. Nobody's going to employ her. So it's Britain First or nothing. So she'll put up with anything just because she's hardened to what Paul does to her. She thinks that every other girl
should put up with it.
The same stuff. Yeah.
You see, the way I look at it, if you stand on a political platform or any sort of platform and you make yourself a public figure and you do all the speeches and all the rants, then your private life should reflect what you proclaim to believe in.
Correct.
And it's under scrutiny. So it's a bit late in the day when she starts screeching about, you know, what I do in my private life is bright. It's not. You proclaim to be something and you're not that thing. You're a fake. And it's just
she has
wrong.
no principle. It is indeed all about the money, isn't it, guys?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, and it's a great irony, I want to say, guys, that we all know and we've all spoken, I'm sure, about how the Islamic ideology takes advantage of women. I've done show after show about it, both on EDL and The Unpleasant Blind Guy. You know, talked about it numerous times, about how Muslims just use women as just things. And there's no respect there. And yet, then Americans, you need to roll this back if you didn't completely assimilate it before. And yet, you have the leadership of a supposed pro-civil rights organization in the UK doing the same thing to a woman. So that's an ultimate irony.
Not just a woman, it's actually, at the time, she was one of them.
Right. One of their own.
One of their own that they expected to be quiet. And I think with Jada and the Polish girl, it was a lot of rivalry in as much as they both look very different. Some would say they're both sort of beautiful, but without any shadow of a doubt, the Polish girl is academically and intellectually much more clever.
Shell, Can you just really quickly give us your connection to Britain First, just so that people are...
Absolutely no connection to Britain First whatsoever. I am EDL.
All right.
My connection in this is I was going out with Graham before Jada came along. I'm the scorned ex, you see. So, but nevertheless, he's still my best friend. And even when he was with Jada, we would speak often, and he would tell me things that she was, you know, what she was doing and what she was saying. And when this situation arose, you know, I sort of stepped up and decided to do the right thing. I couldn't just abandon him. Oh, you dumped me for Jada, because this is a serious issue. And she's already been thrown under the bus once, and it was my chance to not bring Britain First down, because that was never my intention. My intention was to help to cleanse the right wing. In the right wing, we don't need people like this proclaiming to speak for us. We want people with a bit of morality and some integrity and some honesty, and they lack all three.
Of course.
Nice, yes.
Well said, Shell, well said. You know, the difficult thing about all of this is we have known people like you and I, Shell, and probably Dave, because he's been connected with the EDL a long time now. But many of us in the UK have known from day one that they were up to no good. Probably because we knew a little bit more about Paul Golding from his previous connections with the BNP. And at that stage, he hated Jews, he hated blacks, and now all of a sudden they love everybody, because they know they wouldn't get anywhere if they did have these racist thoughts, which they do have.
Yeah, because the more people they include, the more money they can get.
Yeah.
Now, briefly, guys, the BNP, the British National Party, let people who don't know about this organization know what it is, just so that they know where a lot of this sprang from, please.
Can you remember, Graham, what the name was before?
Was it National Front?
The National Front, which tells you everything. They did carry swastikas, a lot of them, certainly the news reports I saw back in the 70s. And
yeah, I think that
there was probably an element of normal patriots, but there was a big element of anti-Semitics and, you know, a lot of talk about black. Going back to one of their lies, and I presume this was part of the cover-up as well, Shell and Graham, when they went to Europe touring on donations.
Yeah.
Well,
Andrew Edge.
Yeah, Andrew Edge had to be kept with them because of keeping him close. And
yes.
right to this day.
Keeping your enemies close, yes.
Yes, so the
problem that Jada's got now is that she's got Andy Edge, who has just been outed for also committing sex crime. Now, I can't say the girl's name. She doesn't want it going out, but she's there. A lot of people know about it. They know it happened.
Yeah.
Now, Jada's stuck. Now, what's she going to do with Andy Edge? Is she going to get rid of him and take the chance on him talking to everyone and saying what happened? Or is she going to stand between two of them that are both up for the same sort of thing? She's stuck between a rock and a hard place now.
Yeah.
She will end up promising him help from their legal team, and then at the last minute, there'll be no help. Yeah.
That's right.
As they do with most people, they leave them high and dry. And you know, they promise them financial aid, and then they just drop them. But one morning I got up on Facebook, and Edge was on one of my contacts, and not that I really spoke to him ever, because I saw him once in Rotherham, that was enough. And he put on his wall one morning this keyring, which was a keyring, a fob, and a necklace that he'd been presented by Marine Le Pen. And it's, excuse my French, my French, because I'm not a French speaker, but it is Les Mousquetaires de la Présidente. It means the President Musketeers. Now, they were disbanded on December the 17th, 2008. They don't exist. It was a gang stroke clan of 60 men, all Frenchmen, who at one time protected the president. They were armed, but they were gotten rid of because it was the French National Front. They were neo-Nazis, apparently, looking at the history of this band of men that have not been enforced since 2008. However, Andrew Edge and his two little cohorts, who's now calling herself Joan of Arc, Jada Franson, and Paul Golding, who's now known as 2-inch Fatty or something. I don't know what he's called. Anyway, I don't know what the 2-inch refers to. Sure. But they went off to France. They put out pictures of so many men in a room. And I know Marine Le Pen or none of her officials were there. But he boasted on the social network that he'd been presented with this badge. He'd also been given a gun to protect the president. Yeah. Marine Le Pen is not the president, the last time I looked. So I pointed out on Facebook that was a key fob that you can get in a tourist shop that he stuck into his lapel. And when I said they were disbanded and I called him a liar, I didn't see him anymore. He blocked me. But another man approached me and says, Jan, I've just got rid of that man. I have never seen such terrible language given out to a woman. And what he called you, he said, I've unfriended him and I've blocked him. I said, that's okay. I just know. But they didn't stop there, did they, guys? He went on and on and on about how he is allowed to carry a gun in France and how he's there to protect the president. I mean, come on. And it's just one of their lies, you know.
Andy Edge's usual game on is he comes onto my page, threatened me, and when I presented him with some evidence, I think it stayed on his wall for about 5 minutes. He deleted it, then threatened me on Messenger, and then blocked me before I could reply. Yeah. All Edge can do is threaten, and how anyone can be scared of a 5'0" tramp with no front teeth is absolutely beyond me. But he does like to threaten and bully women, and that's his style. And he's in good company, because that's what they do.
He most definitely is. Now, can we go on to the subject of police informers? Because I have seen the evidence and written statements from the police as well, and the three of them throwing people in. They are throwing in right-wing patriots in the path of the police, known as police informers. You all know what they are, so can you throw some light?
Can I just say something else about them? Up until about a year ago, Britain First, it was always on the outskirts. EDL would do a demo, Britain First are doing a demo. No one took them seriously.
No.
And then, in the last year, they seem to have gained more ground, and all the other groups got smaller and smaller because they were informing so much that they gained favour with the police. So we were being closed down and they were getting more ground. But one of the biggest lies they say at the start of nearly every demo is, we are the only group exposing grooming gangs. Yes. Excuse me, they used to follow the EDL round. And
they did shout.
You know, Jan, when the EDL do a demo, they stand up and they say, in this town, whatever town they're in, there have been X amount of girls groomed, and they name some of the groomers, and they name the police officers that have let them down, facts and figures. All Britain First do is have a few prayers, talk about me, and then that's it.
When you look at it, when you look at what's really happened, you see the lie starts with their name, Britain First. Now, Paul Golding's brother, Jamie Golding, he went to prison a few times. He broke into 171 homes of good British hard-working people. And he stole £2.5 million worth of stuff, which was never recovered. That was on one occasion. Another occasion, £600,000 worth of goods. Now this is and he's security for Britain First, head security.
Yeah, but didn't he give some of that money to Paul Golding to start
Britain First? Yeah. So what's Britain First about? What's putting British first? Robbing them. All the way along, they've robbed
British First.
They've robbed patriots, they've robbed veterans, they've robbed people's homes.
And that money was used to start Britain First.
Now, Graham.
And also any further monies collected was also used for Jada Franson to have new breasts, new teeth. Yep.
Paul Golding's mum has a council house, which Jamie Golding and his girlfriend's in. Jada's she's got a rented house, which Paul and his mum's in. Then she's got her own rented house. Then they've got a house that they've bought in London with about 140,000 equity on it.
Now, which is not bad to get a mortgage when you haven't got a job.
Exactly.
No visible means of support. Now, Graham, I'd like to ask you briefly, because people over here are going to ask, where did you get those figures that you gave us on the thefts?
Oh, Google it. Jamie Golding, Paul Golding's brother.
All right, thank you.
It's all there.
Okay.
Straight in the papers.
I agree.
And not only that, he's got another brother that does the same as well.
Okay.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It's in the family.
What's the story about him cutting a cat's head off when he was threatening a man? and so he killed the cats, cut its head off and took the path or something.
No, what it was, because I have all the evidence on my phone with text messages that Jada sent me from Paul Golding to her, and text messages between myself and Jada, which is a lot of evidence talking about how they would keep sweet until her story wouldn't be credible with the police, and Jada admitting that Paul beats her, and there's a lot of evidence on my phone. They knew that I got all this evidence on my phone.
I have seen the evidence of Jada admitting that Paul Golding's beaten her up. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I've only put out part of the evidence.
That's understandable.
But they started to, because they won't face me face to face, they know better than to come and face me. So they cut the brakes on my van on one occasion, which, if you knew where I live, it was attempted murder. And on another occasion, they cut the head off a cat and threw it against my front door.
Oh, it was your front door? Oh, my God.
Graham, can I just interject here, right?
You was there, weren't you?
Right, the day before that, Paul Golding did a video and he posted it 5 times on his timeline that a jihadist had just been sent down for saying that he wanted to cut Paul Golding's head off. Right, he made a big deal out of this.
Yeah.
That was on the Friday. On the Saturday morning, I was going up north and I stopped in at Graham's and I saw it was a kitten. It was a dead kitten with his head chopped off on Graham's doorstep. So I saw it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's almost mafiosi stuff.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, yeah.
I mean, I've been attacked in my own
there's
house.
nothing mafia about them.
Yeah.
They won't go toe to toe. They'll never face me. That's all they'll do. They'll do things while they drive by. That's it.
My advice to you, sorry, I'll let you in a second. My advice to you, Graham, is get that evidence backed up and sent away from where you are to somebody you can trust. But please go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I've been attacked in my home by 2 men, and I'm a single mum. My daughter was here. She thankfully was asleep and slept through it. And just before Christmas, someone attempted to ram me off the road. And when you put this in perspective with all these things are being done to Graham and myself just to cover up a sexual assault.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to trivialise it. I mean, it wasn't a brutal rape. It wasn't a murder. It was sexual assault. Any sort of man would just take it on the chin, I've done wrong, and take his chance in court. So all of these is escalated into this massive cover-up. And the more they do to us, the more determined we are. You know, we could have gone away months ago and just let this rest, but we just can't. And I'm sure that there's more girls out there that I know of, at least one other girl that it's happened to, that she was bought off by Paul Golding.
Yeah.
And we know
we can't let this rest. We can't let this rest.
We know that when someone engages in that kind of behavior and they get away with it, or if they have a penchant for it, they keep doing it until they're stopped.
Yeah.
Paul's own words in one of his text messages where he admits he's a narcissist.
Well, he'll say that to your face. I've asked him, and he's quite happy to tell you. And Jada told me that one time he beat her so bad, she was black and blue with bruises. And this was when they was together. They was laying in bed, and he was looking at her, and she was looking at him thinking, what's he thinking? And she asked him, don't you feel anything? He says, no, you brought it on yourself. And he had no empathy, no feelings, no nothing.
He needs taken down. He needs taken down.
Well,
and this is the man that wants to lead the right wing.
That's not a narcissist. That's a psychopath.
Yes, it is.
I mean, everybody has a bit of narcissism. You know, we all have a bit of self-love and just self-preservation. But that's none of those things. That's just an unfeeling way of dealing with other people. And again, what do we talk about in the EDL? We talk about how Islam creates a mindset where the feelings of other people are ignored by Muslims so that they can get whatever they want, whether it's sexual gratification or money or whatever. And here this individual is, as you said, wanting to lead the right in the UK with this same sort of, quite frankly, evil mindset.
Mm. We don't need we always assumed that our enemy was Islam and the left when we did, demonstrations. Britain First have done more to damage the right-wing movement than the left ever could.
And this is why I feel that the way they get away with it, the police are putting them into court. The courts are giving them bail with bail conditions. Those bail conditions are never kept, which should be a rearrest and slammed in they should be incarcerated, but they're not. Which means, points to being police informers and throwing right-wing people in.
It's worth pointing out that quite often a lot of their court cases are held in closed court. Now, the only cases that are held in closed court are when it's an extreme vulnerable child, an incest case, a murder of a police officer, anything that keeps the MI5, MI6 or security services, their identities safe, or their informers.
Yes.
Nothing else is ever held in closed court. Even the people that killed... Yeah, I'm a bit of a geek for facts. Even the people that killed Lee Rigby, that wasn't in closed court, that was in open court.
Yes, yeah.
Most terrorists are held in open court unless it's a security risk.
But Britain First are always closed.
Yeah, nearly always closed, and they're in and out in 5 minutes.
They're probably employed to do exactly what they're doing, is to bring down the right wing. When the EDL was about, they were never anywhere. In fact, I think Paul Golding tried to get into the EDL or tried to get close to the leadership, etc. It just didn't work out because I think we all could see that he was a narcissistic, psychotic moron. That's just money. I mean, in the UK, guys, we call them money first.
Yeah.
And now...
Britain's purse.
They're on social network, on Facebook, they are less and less because they've gone over to Gab. Because they know they're on a sinking ship. They are being exposed within Facebook. They know it, and so they are building it all up on Gab. But just before they had their Twitter account removed by Twitter, they were actually begging, Jada was begging Mr. Trump for financial assistance.
Please, can you intervene? He's the most influential man in the world, and she's asking him for money. Really?
Well, I want to follow this one thing, guys. This informer thing, because Jan brought this up to me some time ago, and it immediately started my spider sense. The treatment that Britain First gets at demos versus the treatment that the EDL gets at demos, how do they differ?
By about 2,000 police, usually.
Yep.
Meaning there are more officers at an EDL event than at a Britain First event.
Police dogs, riot squads, they're all in the riot.
Yeah, horses. And also, they allow the left-wing fraction to be as close to us as possible. And
in Liverpool,
Yeah.
Graham and I were in Liverpool, and it was a bit of a joke, really. We got sort of kettled in, and the left were almost standing next to me, weren't they, Graham? Yeah. It was a joke, and we were stuck there for near an hour and a half.
That's what they do. They kettle us
in.
And
they reroute us, and they keep rerouting us. It's a joke, because...
And kettling, for those who don't know, is how the police will cordon in demonstrators on the pretense of protection. But in the case of the EDL, we know that this has just made them convenient targets for people like Antifa, Hope Not Hate. I have to keep on not calling them Hope Not Soap and stuff like that. And things of that nature. That, folks, is what kettling is. Please continue, guys.
Yeah, and we got thrown, at that particular demo, they were throwing solid tins of food. I mean, Graham ate some of the food because he was hungry.
Waste not, want not. I like it, Graham. Good on you.
They were throwing smoke bombs, fireworks.
Yeah, there were darts as well, weren't there?
And darts. They were throwing darts into people.
Yeah, but it's the same as Nottinghamshire. We had hypodermic needles thrown at us by Antifa and the left-wing UAF. Used needles because they're all scumbags anyway. But the police said, one police officer says to me, do you know they're getting £25 a day?
Yeah.
And the coach trip paid for, and they're being given a packed lunch.
Oh, I know.
Now,
well, they threw their packed lunch at us, so...
it was all right.
Well, there goes some Soros money right there, yeah. It's the same here in the States, guys, but go ahead.
My advice to any American that thinks, we're going to donate to Britain First because they're so great, is save your money. You've got a president over there that at least acknowledges that there is a problem with Islam and other issues. He acknowledges it, which is more than our government do. My advice to the Americans is keep your money, invest it in... You've got so many patriotic groups over there that probably could do with a few donations. Look at what's in your own community, invest your money there, save your community one thing at a time. Keep your money. because all
You
the
can
money
send some to the EDL if you want.
You can send it to the
I was gonna say
EDL.
that, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Graham. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the suggestion I was going to make.
Your money that you send to Britain First is not going to save us. Our government have sold us out. Britain First will just take that money, put petrol in the car, and the rest will go up their nose. Keep your money.
Well, yeah, it really sounds, Graham, from what you said, it sounds like these contributions are going for booze and blow, basically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a case of go in and buy the bar. I'll have everything. And it's just a free-for-all.
It's showing off. It's showing off, isn't it? It's look how big we are.
But it's Patriots' money. That's the thing. At the end of the day, it's all right. Everybody, a lot of people are invited to these socials and that. Well, people that they want to invite back and just having a mad party. But it's Patriots' money that should be used on.
It was also worth pointing out that they lost their political status a couple of months ago when they tried to set up in Northern Ireland.
Oh, yes.
And they were stopped because there were financial irregularities. And I went onto Company's House, which I do often, and the money was all there. You could see everything. And then within 5 days, everything had been cleaned out. So I'm only assuming that they've looked at their finances and thought and wondered where nothing tallies up with what's...
There can't be any records because...
No, there's not.
When I was with Jada, I know for a fact there's not, because when I was with Jada, they needed £4,500 a deposit for £74,000 in Ireland, that they needed to get that house in Ireland to get a foothold, to get a PayPal button, because they can't get one in England.
Ah.
So they needed that money. So Jada says to me, what we'll do, we'll put out donations for another office move, say that we're being harassed at the office, whatever, we have to move office again. There's no such thing. And they do this often, the amount of office moves, or they say they have to move house because their location's been found or something like that. It's all bullshit. It's for stuff that they want themselves, and they just say, well, let's say it's an office move. And they've done that a few times while I was with her, like £7,000 a time, and then like now it's £40,000. But you never know, when it says target to be reached and the current amount, who's to say what it is? Yeah. This money, it's just rolling in. People
and
are giving
and it's tax-free. It's all tax-free. They're not paying anything.
No.
It's just astronomical amount of money. I mean, we've seen the documentation, as thanks to Graham, some of the documentation. We have seen the photographs of them across Europe, partying, drinking, standing in shops with huge bottles of champagne. It's
the whole thing is
donation. It's shocking.
Jan Rennie has done a tremendous amount of work on this program, and I would like to thank her as both a valued friend of myself and this show. If there can be said to be an organization that purports to be on the right and yet acts like the Clinton Foundation, that group has to be Britain First. And I would like to thank Graham and Shell for helping bring the truth out. Next show, we conclude this revealing report on the BS of Britain First. And that's it for this time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2018. Anno Domini.